Former White House Chief of Staff, Senior Advisor at Bondi Partners, and great friend of the show, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, thanks for coming on, and we're going to be talking a bit more later on in the show about the legals behind the Stormy Daniels hush money trial. But I want to talk to you about what the impact this might have on the election. Is this going to make much of a difference, or is this the whole thing just the obsession of niche elites who are never going to vote for Trump anyway?
It's a little of both, James. Keep in mind, there's not that many persuadable voters left in this country anyway. Between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, you're dealing with two of the most well-known politicians of this century, for sure. But Trump is counting on having this help him politically, and I think he's probably right. Keep in mind, and you and I have talked about this before, this is by far the weakest of the four criminal cases against him. It's not about payments of hush monies to a porn star. This is about bookkeeping, whether or not he accounted for this properly as a business expense, and whether or not he properly followed the federal election rules and how you spend money in elections in this country. And if I just put half the audience to sleep, we also put about half the country to the audience to sleep. Polling has shown that an overwhelming majority of Americans just don't understand what the Trump supposedly did wrong here that merits a criminal investigation. So all of those things tend to work in his advantage as he tries to make himself out to be a victim, which he's done very successfully now for the past year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, Mick, some of us with long memories might remember when the shoe was on the other foot and it was Bill Clinton who was accused of having affairs, and you had people out there covering those up all the time for him. You know, everybody said, oh, well, let's just be really European about this. Who cares, right? But anyway, that was another time. But, you know, just on the polls, though, we've had another poll conducted by the New York Times, which shows that on a far more serious matter than Stormy Daniels, 64% of Americans approve of how President Trump handled the economy, and 63% of them disapprove of how Biden is handling the economy. Mick, I suspect that when it comes down to it, much more than what people do in their personal life, this may be where the election is decided.
It absolutely is. In fact, it's an interesting analog to a race you mentioned that I hadn't really thought about in a long time, which is the Bill Clinton. When he left office famously popular. Not only because people perceived the Republicans as having overreached in impeachment, but because the economy was doing really, really well. That's not where Joe Biden is right now. The economy is struggling. Inflation continues to be an issue in this country. While we're doing better than the rest of the world, that's really not what Americans want. They don't care if they're doing better than somebody else. They want a healthy economy. They want low gas prices and low food prices. And right now, they're not getting that. And it really makes it difficult for Joe Biden to talk about the economy. His former chief of staff this week, Ron Klain, famously said that Biden needs to stop talking about the blanking bridges. Nobody cares about bridges. They care about gas prices and food prices. When your former chief of staff is saying that, then you know you have a political problem. So the economy traditionally here drives elections. And if that's the case again in 2024, like it looks like it is, it's going to be an uphill battle for Joe Biden as we get to November.